Well, now, let's answer this question for once and for all. Is building your home a liability? Is it an asset? Or is it an investment? Because some people don't even understand the difference between the three things, and I'm going to talk about that exactly right now. The only thing that you need to do is to just like the video. Because if you don't like the video, most likely you might not actually see me clearly. But if you like the video, you might actually see me clearly. And make sure that you subscribe on the down below there. There's a small button written subscribe, and leave your comment down below there. Yeah, I dare promise it's true. If you don't like the video, you might not see me clearly. Thank you. Let's get to the point. Now, see, I'm going to discuss these three things. These three things is actually liability. What is it? Okay. And then, by the way, guess what? You actually have the answer. You'll actually generate, by the time now I'm ending explaining all these three things, you'll be able to understand. Now, okay, now I understand it better. Okay. Now, liability, asset, and then we finish with what? Investment. Okay. Now, the question is, which one is it when it comes to building a house? Let's say you have yourself like, let's say just an average amount of money, like 5 million. Okay. You have your 5 million here. You have your 5 million. Okay. Therefore, you go purchase a land, maybe worth like 2 million, or maybe let's say 1.5 million. A land maybe worth 500 million. That's a land. Okay, and then the remaining amount, that is 3,500,000, you go ahead and do what? Build yourself a what? A house. Okay, now guess what happened now is if you have the combination of these two, you have a what? You have a home. Okay, now here we go. Now, what is it now? Is it a liability, asset, and investment? Now, let me give you the characteristics of all these three so that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Okay, now, when we talk about liability, guess what? In the simplest language, a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. I repeat, liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Liability, you're liable. It's something, it's like a nuisance. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like a nuisance. Takes money out of your pocket. Takes money out of your pocket. Out of your pocket. Okay, now if it takes money out of your pocket, now let's take a case scenario. Does a house take money out of your, let's say you've built with the 5 million and what have you, you have a perimeter wall, you have a house, you have everything. Now does it take money out of your pocket or otherwise? Maybe say when you're paying the electricity, you have to pay the land rates, you have to pay for what we call the water bills and what have you. But if you are renting, you could still be paying your water, you could still be paying your electricity. So you building or not building does not evade you from paying water, electricity, and other personal effects and whatever. So the point is, the only thing that you're paying here that is different is the land rates. And obviously in Kenya, we don't pay like a crazy land rates. And I don't even think, maybe in America they pay a lot. I don't know, because I usually hear that if you're in America and you own a property, it's like you don't own it. You know, anytime can actually be. See, by the way, that's why I love Africa. That's why I love this country, because we own land in a freehold way. Like you own it, it's yours, done. But anyway, Kenya is now changing the laws. They're saying that we should not even own the land in a freehold way. And it's a funny thing. I really wish that bill doesn't pass. But anyway, I'm not going to go the political way. So the point is, for me, honestly speaking, I don't view house as more of a liability. It's not more of a liability. It doesn't have a lot of money that you really need to cash out from the place of, unless maybe the repairs and what have you. Yeah, that one may actually argue is a liability. Most of the people tend to think it's a liability because probably the money you could have invested somewhere, it's actually making you something. But you forget one thing. There is a difference between an investment. So you cannot compare liability and say an investment or something, because liability actually takes money from you. So would you choose something that is taking money from you, or would you choose something that is not making nothing? Which one would you choose? It's like two devil alternatives. Which one would you choose? The one that is making money out of you, or making money for you, and the one that is the one that is taking money from you, and the one that is making nothing. So I would rather go for the one that is making nothing, because after all, my previous capital is actually, guess what? My actual capital is actually preserved. You get the thing? But anyway, I'm not going to make a decision with that at this particular level. Let's go to the next one. Now, see, when we talk about an asset, here we can have two classes of asset. We can have class A of asset. We have the cash flow asset. Cash flow assets. What does it mean? Cash flow asset is an asset. First of all, what is an asset before even go and do anything? Asset is something that gets money into your pocket. It's an opposite of this. Asset gets money into your pocket. For example, there's a very weird thing that I'm going to say here, and that is about a car. Let's say you buy yourself an Uber. You do the Uber business. So first of all, without even saying nothing, car is a liability. Forget about whether it's in Uber, just a car. First of all, it's a car. The moment you see it, you don't see Uber, you see a car. So car is a liability. Why? Because the value depreciates and obviously it takes money from your pocket. It's actually a very big liability. Why? It depreciates, so it does not do what we call the capital preservation. So capital preservation is not there. Second thing, you have to do the servicing and the fueling. So it's a liability outright. But then this is not just a car, this is an Uber. So it's a liability covered up with a media of what? An investment, because it's an investment, or maybe you can say it's a business because it is bringing in cash. Here it is depreciating, and at the same time it is consuming fuel, and at the same time, guess what happened? It is actually goes for service, but then it is making money in the same process. So therefore it means, let's say per day that car depreciate with a value of 2,000. But the same car is making you 3,000. So is it really a liability or is it an asset? Or is it an investment? That is more of an investment. So we cannot say it's a liability. So therefore, concluding by saying cars are liabilities is wrong. So what car are you talking about? But don't argue from the point of, I have a car that takes me to job. No, it's a liability. Now, see, we are on the asset. So I've said that we have two types of asset. We have the cash flow asset and then we have non-cash flow asset. For example, if one buys a land and comes up with an investment, maybe say rental investment, that's an asset, all right? It's an asset and it's a cash flow asset. Why? It is generating cash flow. That person A. Person B buys a land, does not have any rental built in that specific land. Now, that's an asset, but it's not a cash flow generating asset. That's where people don't understand that. That's the difference. So there are two assets here. So now let's go to the house now. So is a home a cash flow generating asset or is it just an asset? We have the B1 is actually non-cash flow generating asset. Okay, therefore, house falls more under the what? House falls more under this. Why? It does not generate you anything. I mean, at the end of the month, you don't receive anything from your home unless you rent it out. But now we are talking about your home. You don't receive nothing from that specific thing. Guess what you do? You bank it on appreciation. You say, I bought this bar. I actually consumed a total of 5 million. And obviously it appreciates as the time goes. By the way, the land is the thing that has never gone down. Okay? Unless a crazy thing happens, I don't know which even that is. Yeah? Unless there is a crazy flooding or something. See, now the point is, it appreciates. You do what? It's more of a land banking, whereby it appreciates. The only way you can realize its appreciation is when you can liquidate it. That's when you can say, hey, guess what? Now, this specific property that I have, it is actually making me some cash because I've actually sold the thing. And this is why I'm telling you there is a very tricky situation here. There are two types of real estate. There's someone who actually builds the homes for the rentals and the one who builds to resell them. See, when you build to resell, it is an investment wrapped up in a what? In a business casing. Okay? It's an investment wrapped up in a what? In a business casing. At that case regard, then it means if you just build to rent, it's more of a what? An investment. Let's go to the third one. Now, investment. What is an investment? An investment in anything that you do where you subject your money, an input, you do some input here, you input some money. Let's say you put X, and then the output is X plus 1. Now, when the moment I introduce X, I might lose some of you because you think like, now you have gone back to school. No, an investment is where you subject your money to a growth, whereby you take your money, you put into something, a complex structure, be it either business, not really a business, be it either rental houses, be it either money market fund, a bill, a bond, and what have you. And guess what it gives you in return? It gives you more than what you actually did pump in. That's an investment. And obviously for it to do this, then therefore there is a respect of time. There is a time between when you did do the investment and when it's giving you out. So an investment here, it's an act. Or to invest, for you to get an investment, you have to involve an act of investing. So, and to invest, you can invest to acquire an asset that is generating cash flow, and you can invest to acquire an asset that is actually doing what? Not generating any cash flow. So when I say investment, it's more of, you view it from a point of growing your money. you grow your money. You're focusing on growing your money, because some people can acquire an asset on the basis of not, they think that they're growing their money, but in real sense they're not growing their money. What they're doing is that they're doing what we call, safeguarding their properties or safeguarding their cash. So you have to differentiate between those 2 points. So now the point is this: we now understand what's a liability. It takes money off your pocket. An asset, we have 2 types, and an investment from the act of investing, for you to put in an input, for you to get an output. So when you put or you set up a home, do you view it as an investment? Do you view it from a point of it making you money? Most of the people don't view it from this perspective. They set up a home on the basis of having the comfort, having the security of their home, having that what we call feeding the ego, because obviously building a home comes with feeding the ego. Even getting kids is feeding us our ego. In Africa, especially in Kenya, when you get a kid, you no longer call Joseph, you're called Baba Nani or the father too. You now earn the respect and all those kind of things. You called a father. If you really need to be called a father, you're more of you being called a father than a kid being a kid. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, let me not go to that point. Yeah, it might actually evoke a very heavy debate here. Now, the point is, under these 3 things, where does the home fall or lies on? You're right. If you said here, yes or no, somewhere, but it's definitely not here. So definitely home is not an investment, but I would say home falls under this. And again, under the subdivision of the asset, I would say home falls under what we call non-cash flow investment, non-cash flow asset. It does not generate any cash flow. So in this case regard, you do what we call the land banking. So therefore, is home a liability, asset, or an investment? So home, it's an asset, but not just an asset, it's a hard asset, because we also have 2 types of assets. We have the soft asset and hard asset. So it's a hard asset that is actually a non-generating cash flow. It does not generate any cash flow. So then it depends. Then when should you build, or when should you have a home? Well, I know you should have a home when you need it. That's a fact anyway. But when you need it, when you need it, but you have the ability to do that. See, there's a difference between you needing it and you having the ability to do it. See, I would say you have the house when you know definitely the investment basket has actually been taken care of. When you know very well there's a cash flow that is coming in, because there are some traces of a liability that comes with you owning a home. That's a fact. There's some traces of liability. And by the way, if you go to US or maybe UK and what have you, home becomes more of a liability than it is in Africa. There are different policies. So we cannot say overly that home is a liability in Africa. It's quite different. But when you're in US, obviously that's why most of those great investors, they always tell you, don't own a home, do this. But some of the information may not be used directly and truncated in Africa and be able to make sense out of it. Okay. So home has some traces of liability. And for you to be able to cater for those liabilities offered by home, then it means that you have to put your house or the basket of investment in order to make sure that is a cash flow that is being generated to take care of this, because it's more of an asset that is generating nothing out of it. So anyway, guys, guess what? That marks the end of the video. But never forget this: before you do anything as far as the investments are concerned, it is good to make sure that you understand exactly what you're getting yourself into. That's my submission. What is submission? What have you taken out of the video that I've shared with you? Would you choose it to? But now, this is the difference. Someone may actually try to force it to be an investment just because they want to justify themselves investing or having a home and all those kind of things. No, come on. Just learn to speak the truth. Learn to be an individual who speaks the truth for themselves. The reality is, that marks the end of my video. But never forget, if you'd like to get any services from me, any booklet from me, make sure that you grab that number from the description of this specific video. Let's talk business. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.